Now define your calendar. Here you define your calendar, all the months. So mostly what companies do is they define for multiple years at the same time. So here we'll define for year, say prefix, how do I want these months to be seen in the application. When we open the application, there will be periods also shown. Assign your type that you have used, the period and the quarter, which quarter it is falling. How many quarters do you want to? You see, we anyways have 4 quarters. This is just a number and the date range. This can also change. In this calendar type, I have set 13 period, right? So I am making it to be monthly. Some businesses who do reporting on weekly basis, say they can say 52 weeks. In that case, you have to define each and every week here. Okay, it can be week 1, and then the date range of week 1, January 1st to January 7th. So since this is month on month basis, so this will be January 2013 to first day of the month till the last day of the month. So likewise, we need to define all the months. It's in 1 quarter and the number is 2. The date ranges, we have to be very careful about the date ranges. Anyways, calendar will be validated in the end. Once we finish this definition, system will validate the calendar to determine if there are any date gaps or missing periods. If there are any, the report will show the errors and we will have to rectify those errors. Calendar definition is also one time. Once you have defined your calendar, doing correction is not possible in this. So it's always advised to take all kind of, you need to get the information from the business, what type of calendar do they use. So this will take a little bit of time, so bear with me for some time. And I suggest when you do practice, you to define your calendar.
So got a question. So you have to enter all the date field, month field. It's not automated, or?
Sorry, Abdul?
This is Mohammed. I'm trying to say you have to type in all the date field after you choose the type of calendar you want?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not automated.
We have to enter all the months here. Number 5 and 31st March 2013. Sorry, my mistake. Although system is taking it because I haven't yet saved it. The moment I save it, system will show an error. 1st May 2013, 31st May 2013. So like this, we will have to define.
Matsala,
Yep.
March 31st, right? Instead of March 30?
Yeah. Okay, let me define this and then I'll come and correct it.
Oh, okay.
Let us make a mistake here and then see what do we get in the report. So, what system will, identify if there's a period missing. So one day is missing in March. June, July. It's a second quarter, 7th period. I've been numbering it wrongly here, right? And there are three months in a quarter. This is 2, 2, 2, and then this is 3, 3, 3. This is the last quarter. And the last month, and we have said that it's a 13 period calendar. So any of these months we can determine as the adjusting month. So, but when we are defining that adjusting month, it has to be in sequence. What I mean is, if I am identifying December as my adjusting month last year, it has to be defined after December. If it's July, then after July I have to define. End of December, after December, I cannot define July as my adjusting, right? It has to be in sequence. You're getting me? It has to be in sequence. So here I cannot say July, define July, and then identify it as an adjusting period. So the month which is identified for adjustment, you need to identify it like this, otherwise it will be duplicated, and system will not allow any kind of duplications. This is my adjusting period. So let me save this. Let's say let me close this. When I close it, it will run the validation report. So let it validate the current one, and let's see the report. To view the report, you can go to requests and find view menu, view requests and find. This is where all the reports will be run, and you can see the progress of it. The name of the report is other calendar validation. You can refresh it for it to see the status, how it is working. You need to complete it. If there's an error, it will be in red. It will complete in error. Status will be, there's a warning here. So let's just see what the warning is. Warning is the following periods have date gaps. So the date gap is here, March period. After April is March. Gap start date is 31st March. right? So this is what it has identified. Like this, it will identify more shortcomings in our calendar definition if periods are overlapping. No violations found. If there is some period that is greater than our maximum period for the period type, if there is some period that is missing, if I'm misdefining a period, if it's not in sequential order, like adjusting period, if I define it somewhere in between the calendar and not after December, if it has to be December month to be adjusting, then I have to define it after December. If July has to be adjusting period, I have to define it after the month of July. Let me go back and correct this. To query your record F11, enter your value. If you don't know the full name, percentage, and then control F11 to query back. Now let me correct it. 31st March. Okay. So it's going to validate it again. This time it's going to be completed normal. So we have our calendar ready, our currency is ready. Important thing we need to define now is chart of accounts. So set up financials, flex fields, key. There are two types, key flex field and descriptive flex field. Key flex field is for storing the key information. Now if you see a form like this, journals, enter, let me pick up just one journal entry. This is a journal entry, okay, for some expenses. This is the code combination. Code combination is nothing but the combination of these segments. In this particular organization, fortunately, you are viewing real-time chart of account. So it has a legal entity segment. They want to also capture legal entity. It has a center, an account where this is getting affected, a product, services segment, and a program segment. This is very specific to the company. So what we'll be designing is a very general one, which will have a company segment, account segment, a center segment, a department segment, and a product segment. We'll define a 4-segmented chart of accounts. So this is what is defined in the chart of accounts. So this is US account key combination. This is how we are recording our key information. So this is key flex field. If you have an additional information which is not possible to capture here, you can define descriptive flex fields. You know, these kind of boxes, if you see whenever in the application, is where you define your descriptive flex field. In this form, it's not defined. The moment you click here, it will open another small dialog box, okay, which will have again segments. So we'll see descriptive flex fields a little later on. First, we'll understand key flex field. So go to setup, financials, flex fields, key, segments. This is the screen where you define F11 and query for the flex field title, accounting flex field for general ledger. Now this is in really they have defined for US, they have this for legacy. You know, they are also interfacing with the legacy system, so they have also defined their legacy chart of account. Now here we can define our own chart of account too. Just a moment. We'll get into these segments and see. So if there's a chart of account structure here, we saw in the PPT, there is a structure is nothing but combination or collection of all of your chart of accounts. It's called a structure. This block is your structure. This is where your flex field title is, and how your chart of account is going to be is you can define in the segments here. So let me pick up one chart of account here, US account key and the segments. Here they have already defined these segments. When we define, we will also be defining something very similar. I don't want to define here because I am not supposed to. As I said, this is my office instance. Every segment will have a column assigned. So in the back end, when you see in the back end in the database, you will have a segment associated for storing list of values for these. We'll see the list of values also. How those list of values will be is determined by this value set. Let me open this value set and show you. If it's going to be uppercase, if it's going to be list of values or long list of values or pop list. See, what I am accessing here is another type of list of values. The moment I click here, it gives me list of values. That is what this means. Long list of value will give me those windows where I can search. You know, there will be thousands of values, so I need to search from that. And pop list will just pop a screen for selecting the values. Security type will come later on when we are dealing with the security feature in Oracle application. It's again a big topic. Here, format validation, the codes that you define for this should be how long. Legal entity is 5, the length of this is 5. We saw in journal entry those things, code combination. So this will be 5. So likewise, for every segment, you need to define a value set and attach to it. For this center, the cost center for this company, the cost center for this company has a value of 5. You need to define value set for each segment and attach to it independently. Also, these segments will be associated with a qualifier. Qualifier is a feature that determines the behavior of these segments. I have defined the segments here, but application doesn't know which is company segment, which is account segment, which is product, and which is services segment. So go to the FlexField qualifier. The first legal entity, generally we term it as company. But in this organization, in this company, they are using it as legal entity. That's how they do the business. This legal entity is associated with the balancing segment qualifier. Okay. Only one segment can be defined as balancing segment, and that will be the company segment. You know, where you have your list of companies. Because it's so at the company level, all your accounts will be balanced. Balanced in the sense your debit and credit has to be equal. So all the reporting will be done at the company level. So only one segment can be balancing segment. You cannot assign this qualifier to any other segment. That will cause data corruption. Center, they have associated as cost center. Again, this is also unique in nature. You cannot associate to more than one. Only one segment needs to be identified as your cost center or your department or your balancing unit or your business unit. You cannot duplicate with any other segment. Account. These three are mandatory. Company, department, and account. These three are mandatory. They have to have in a chart of account. Account. Natural account segment is also unique. No other segment can be identified as natural account segment. I cannot say product is my natural account segment. Doesn't make sense. Why? Because all the account information, all the list of accounts are in account segment. Product segment is holding the product list of values. What products are we manufacturing is held in product segments. So I cannot assign this to any other segment apart from account segment. Now others are optional. These three are mandatory: company, department, and account. Others are optional. Let me see what they have associated. Nothing. Product, they have nothing. Services, also nothing. And program is also Nothing. So these three are mandatory. Apart from this, you can assign any other. So what about the other segments? Why are we using these three segments? Intercompany segment is used when you have an intercompany segment. See, companies or businesses who are very much heavy in doing intercompany or inter-organization transactions, very frequently they buy services from their own other organization. In that case, you can define an individual intercompany segment and associate this qualifier to that segment. Otherwise, company segment also you can associate intercompany segment. This legal entity they have, it's nothing but the company segment, which will have list of values of companies. You can associate intercompany segment. Management segment is mostly for reporting purposes. We use this only for reporting. We can assign this to any of these other segments, account, product or services. Which segment we are using mostly for reporting, we'll get into this in detail later on. Just for now, just understand that management segment is used only for reporting purposes. So if we are reporting on product basis, we need to track which product has performed well, and we need to draw a report on that. So we assign management segment to that segment. Secondary tracking segment, as I said, balancing segment cannot be assigned to more than one segment apart from company. Only company can be assigned balancing segment. But I also want to have another segment to do a similar assignment, a similar balancing segment. For that reason, in this release only, this is a new one which has been introduced in R12. If I want my department also to be identified as balancing segment, then use secondary tracking segment. Here also you will be drawing reports, and making your financial statements. It's as good as your balancing segment. This is about your qualifiers. To enable security, we can use this form and enable security. This I'll come back later on. So this is about your chart of account here. Let's see the values in chart of account. So what we have understood here is how we can position it. Now all this has to be in sequence. We cannot keep gaps here. If company is segment 1, this department has to be segment 2. The other one has to be segment 3. So all this has to be in sequence. Value set we saw. Every segment has to have a value set which determines the length of it, if it's going to format of it, if it's going to be uppercase or only character or number or date and time. Some organizations use date and time, but mostly they use character and number. Those are all obsolete. These are obsolete, but Oracle is still using it. So value set we have understood. Now, how do you enter values in these segments? We'll see that. US account key. For that, go to this form, flex field key values. Application is general ledger. Title is accounting flex field. Name of the structure, chart of account structure, say find. So legal entity has got these values. Remember, we defined it has to be, the length has to be 5. So it is represented by these codes in the application. 10006 is Palo Alto Research. 10018 is Xerox Realty Corporation. So the Xerox is a company which have these Xerox machines, copiers. So I partly work for Xerox. I'm on a small assignment with Xerox here for doing testing of their application. All the companies will be listed here. They have a funding business also. So Xerox Funding LLC is represented by this code. Likewise, all the segments. Let me key in the charger. Okay. Now, cost center has got, most of them are inactive. We have end dated these. If you want to end date, you can end date it like this. We have end dated some. This is still in use. So the end dated ones will not be shown in the form anymore. Similarly, we have account. Now there are thousands of accounts, cash account, bank account, or the product. There are n number of products here. You have to have list of values. So values, segment values will be filled in these segments, the printers, scanners, what all products they deal with. All these will also have their own qualifiers. We saw key flex field qualifiers, and now we will see the segment qualifiers. There are only two qualifiers, allow budgeting and allow posting. In the application, if we have to create budgets on product specific, say this 8855 printer, I have a budget of say 1 lakh USD per year. I cannot spend more than this. So we'll ask the finance manager to create a budget for this project. For that, this option has to be enabled. Allow budgeting and allow posting is general ledger entry posting. If this is no, it should not be no for any of these values. It should always be yes. If it is no, then no accounting entry can be done. Tomorrow, if I sell off this printer, 8855 printer, if I sell 1,000 copies and this option is no, then I will not be able to record this transaction of sale. That means revenue will not be booked and the correct information will not be shown. So these two qualifiers are common for all the values except for account. The account segment, the values for the account segment has got some more qualifiers apart from allow budgeting and allow posting. Now this is cash at bank account. I don't want any allow budgeting and posting for this. You need to determine what type of account is this. We can select from n number of these. Asset, expense, liability. Owner's equity is what the owners invest in the business. Is that account revenue? So we need to classify all the accounts accordingly. So here it's showing all the asset accounts. If we go down, see descriptive flex fields will be like this. There is some value here. If you see 99, this is a descriptive flex field. Replacement account, they want to capture something more here, which is not getting captured with the help of these key flex fields. Then you can use descriptive flex field. Likewise, you can assign qualifiers, segment qualifiers, and enter values. Let us go to the chart of account once more. Here you can freeze your definition. Once you are done with defining your chart of account, you can freeze it. Always freeze your definition and compile it. That's a very important thing to do for your chart of account to come in effect. Allow dynamic inserts. I'll tell you when we start doing the transaction. If it's enabled or not. Cross-validate segment is also a feature where we need to put a restriction on how and which segment value needs to be accessed. When we create a account code combination here, in this journal entry, let me pick up one journal entry, and there is account code combination created here. Okay, rather than this code, if I pick up some other code which does not go well with these. So for the company 10561, if I'm not supposed to access this account, I will have to keep a check on that. To do that, we define cross-validation rules, that is called CVR. So I'll discuss all this when we define types of securities or ways to secure your data in Oracle application. So this is about your accounting structure, multi-org, your chart of accounts. We still have to define ledger.